Alright, what's going on, everybody? We should be live. Double checking everything, making sure we're good. Alright. What's going on, Sick? So, G-Man, there of the Dark King. Hi, what's going on? Alright, so I am just gonna kind of play and answer questions as we go here. So if you guys have any, by all means, ask them. If I've answered it in a video already, I'm probably gonna direct you to the video just so I don't have to repeat myself like 400 times. But otherwise, we are just gonna play, answer questions, and chill, I suppose. If you're unaware, the game launches in like 3 hours now, I believe. 3.5, roughly. Figured for this run, just messing around, I would use a Sacred Huntsmaster. I'm a big fan of them. What bloodline should I pick for Primalist Blood Rager? Personally, I'm a big fan of the Arcane bloodline for Blood Ragers. They get a lot of cool abilities that are kind of unique.
Leave my city!
Let the feast begin.
Discari's here. Discari himself. Blimey! One minute we had a dragon, the next, she was gone. What are you gonna do?
Alright, so G-Man asks, are there as many bugs as there were in beta because it felt that beta 3 was a long way away from being finished, missing textures, text crusades? Most of that stuff's been fixed. There were a lot of bugs when Phase 3 launched. They actually got a lot of those fixed during Phase 3. And then Zareth the Dark King says, hey, so sorry in advance if you already asked. Do you know if there's an alignment restriction for the Mythic Paths? Yes and no. There are alignments that each Mythic Path trends towards. You don't have to play those to pick the Mythic Path. However, the quests and things will like push you towards that alignment. So if you don't do those quests and you fail it, then you won't get the transformation at the end of your Mythic Path if you don't do all that stuff. So it kind of pushes you towards an alignment, though it's not required to use like any of the powers or anything. Lucas Oliveira says, is it time? No, it's a couple hours from now. Alright. So Discari's attacking. We can choose to get a weapon or get a spell to get out of here.
Sure thing. Good luck!
Zuji says, hello, from your experience, aren't the late Mythic Paths coming too late in the story? Kind of, like, you know, so the last 2 acts are actually pretty long, honestly. So you will get a lot of time to mess around with it. There will be a lot of fights where you get to use them. I would say the main thing is, though, you're right, a lot of the content has already passed, so there is that part of it. So it's just a mixed bag, one way or the other. Like, I'm not wild about them being that late myself, but I mean, at the end of the day, it just kind of is what it is. G-Man, so you can be a neutral good lich. Again, technically yes, but you are likely to not get your transformation at the end if you do that.
Hardly surprising.
Tiger's asking.
Lord Discari himself.
Tiger's asking what difficulty we're playing on. We're just playing on normal right now. We're mostly just chilling while I answer questions. The answering questions was like the main part of this. I figured people would have quite a few that I could answer ahead of the actual launch of the game if they wanted.
Holy hey. That's all that matters. Now. Hey!
NW says I got Kingmaker on sale to play it before this release. Finishing Original Sin 2, and I'm scared it won't be as amazing. I watched a review, and I'm wondering now if maybe getting Wrath of the Righteous would be a better idea. So between Kingmaker and Wrath of the Righteous, I would recommend starting with Wrath of the Righteous. Kingmaker it's a good game, honestly, it really is. It has very frustrating pain points, so it's a very easy to love-hate that game, for sure. Nightlash asked what time the game launches. It should be in about 3.5 hours, I believe.
Damn it all. I think it's broken. Oh well, I've had worse. I'll just make myself a splint out of...
Well, I'm Sela, paladin by the grace of Iomade. I don't even want to think...
Yeah, things are looking grim enough, but don't...
If we... Sela? To summarize...
Okay, so... Zuji was asking if you lose the Azada special pet if you changed Mythic Pass late in the game. I would assume so. I haven't tested Azada that late personally, but I would say more than likely. Tony Montana says, is there any info on Gold Dragon Mythic Path? Thinking about doing an Eldritch Scion with Dragon Bloodline. Don't know if it's a good fit. Tony, I will actually have an answer to your question at noon. CST, I will have a video up specifically about the Gold Dragon mechanics. So look forward to that then, I suppose. Gungorum, I just joined. What was that about alignment and Mythic Path? I'll mention it again here in just a minute. Babrin says, how long will it take to finish the game? About 50 to 60 hours, I would ballpark. How many chapters are there in the game? 6 total. Greed says, I have one question. How should I build my tank? I've never played Pathfinder. Focus on stack and armor class any and every way you can. There's a lot of great builds online. Obviously for a stream it would be a little difficult to go into any great detail, but there's a lot of really good guides online, especially for tank builds. I'm around halfway through Act 4 in Kingmaker and enjoyed it so far. 90 hours in, can't wait to play Wrath of the Righteous. Yeah, it should be a good time. Stephen Kinney says, is there companion banter? There is, especially when you're camping. Fuji says, thanks for the answers, you're welcome. Does the 5-foot extra reach on Serpentine Bloodline stack with the extra reach of Enlarged Person? I'm not sure offhand, I'd have to test it, so I honestly can't give you a for sure definite one way or the other. Majbur, I'm not, yeah, okay, yeah. I say Majbur, I don't think I use spoil in this QA. I'm playing through like the ton of it, so I mean, for the most part, yeah, there's definitely potential spoilers depending on what people ask. Salazar says, oh, so you actually recommend Wrath before Kingmaker bed. I got Kingmaker like 2 days ago and just found out about Wrath, so it was good. Like, don't get me wrong, Kingmaker's a great game. I just think that if you're just looking for a place to get into Pathfinder and you're not that like sold on Kingmaker as a game, then Wrath of the Righteous is probably going to be a better entry experience for you. Sick, would you think it would off the top of your head? I don't see why not. I would guess that it might, but again, I'm not sure. Favren says, how will you assess the game from 1 to 10, better than Divinity Pillars Ball? I'd give it an 8. There's some bugs that keep it from being like truly amazing right now, or at least that I personally experienced. You know, the day 1 patch might address some of that. But as of right now, I'd give it an 8. If the day 1 patch takes care of the bugs, I would give it a 9.
I am Camellia. I was also in the square when... I can scarcely believe it. How did all those demons get into the city? I thought, naively it now seems, that that's right.
Are you
Certainly.
Let's see if
when does the game actually launch? It's supposed to be in about 3 hours and 20 minutes. That's the official time that they gave. Steam usually shows it, though. I agree, that's weird. And just to repeat this one because it's a common question, the mythic paths, when it comes to their alignments, there isn't a required alignment per se. Meaning that if I'm lawful evil, I can still pick up Azada, which is chaotic good. However, Azada's quests are going to lead me to that chaotic good alignment. And if I don't follow those quests, I will miss out on the transformation stuff at the end. So technically I can still play the mythic path, but I will lose like some of the quests and the transformation, and it will be a worse experience if you're not playing as that alignment. Igor says, have you tried the classes that weren't implemented, finished during the beta, like the Instant Synthesizer or Blood Kinesis? A couple of them. So in Phase 3, the missing text for those particular ones you're talking about still weren't there. So I honestly just haven't had a chance to actually mess with them. What are my favorite Mythic Paths ranked? I haven't played every single one of them in depth just yet, anyway. I would tell you right now my favorites are Aeon and the Gold Dragon are actually pretty cool. And I enjoyed Demon a lot. I played Demon like extensively, actually. G-Man, a bit of a spoilish answer, so if you only wish to answer with yes or no, I don't mind. But if you don't mind explaining, I would be grateful. Can you have both Lan and Windwog? Yeah, actually, that was part of the beta, so I don't know how much of a spoiler that really is. You choose one at the beginning, and then you can pick the other one up about halfway through the game. How is the itemization in Wrath? In Kingmaker, there are several weapon types that lack good ones. I would say it's better than Kingmaker. I haven't really noticed anything where I haven't been able to find something. And then, in addition to weapons specifically, you get Finian the Talking Weapon, who can be any weapon that you have proficiency in, which kind of eliminates the problem for at least one person. Monica says, I was disappointed to not become an actual dragon, but just have wings. For Gold Dragon, you get Gold Dragon form for Gold Dragon, so I'm not sure what you're referring to be honest. Did they change the hidden environmental skill checks to be shown? A little. It's still in the dialogue thing, like, so if you see them, like, you'll usually hear them say something, but that's about it. Alright, so, wow, just questions coming in and coming in. Steven says, I've never really played CRPG, so should I stick with price set characters, or can I go ahead and try the game? If you've never really played a CRPG, I would probably go with presets to start off with. Hubert says, what race do you want to be implemented to the game? Honestly, I think they have a great set of races. I think Rat Folk would honestly be pretty cool, though. That was one of the options they were thinking about during the Kickstarter. Do I prefer turn-based or real-time? Turn-based, actually. You wouldn't think it for as much as I play real-time on stream and honestly just in general, but I actually prefer turn-based overall. I think it tends to be a smoother experience. What is the best, most interesting romance option? I haven't tried them all. Windwog's is kind of weird. Camella's is just insane. I can't talk too much about Camilla without actually giving some serious spoilers about why that is, but her romance is like Jesus. Oof. Do Mythic Pass spells have specific casting stats, or do they use the one from your base class if you have spell casting? That depends on whether or not you combined your spellbook. So, if you have a Mythic Path that is like compatible with your base class's spellbook, you'll have the option of combining them in a lot of cases. If you combine your spellbooks, meaning that your Mythic Path spells are just part of your regular spellbook, then it uses your base class casting stat, whereas if you just use the regular Mythic spellbook, it uses your Mythic rank. Glad you're enjoying the videos and everything random ahead of launch. Alright, I don't think I missed anybody's question, but if I didn't answer yours, just repeat it, I'll get to it.
No, I can't just... When do what?
Aaron says, hey man, watched almost all your Wrath videos and discover your channel, love your work. Do you know if you need to be a beast rider to mount the Azada pet later, and does Legend Path actually exist? Legend Path does exist, it's unmissable. You shouldn't have to be any particular class to mount the Azada pet. Like, it's just as long as you have an animal companion that's the appropriate size, you can mount them. Great videos. Can I make a custom party? Yes. There is an NPC in your hubs that will make characters for you if you want.
Did you find it? Who is that?
The do-gooders here to save our mongrel soul. This...
The first Crusaders?
That's...
We're looking for... Except... I'll pick it. Yeah.
Alright,
Califan says, how does this game appeal to beginners, not beginners to RPG, but beginners to Pathfinder? Does it require a lot of pre-learning before playing? Not really. Like, if you're familiar with TTRPGs, you'll pretty much be good to go. Like Dungeons and Dragons, that kind of rule set, especially 3.5, you'd pretty much be good to go. As long as you're familiar with CRPGs in general, you should be fine. There are a lot of tutorials on exactly how the rolls and stuff are being made, so as long as you're familiar with that type of stuff, you should be in a pretty good spot.
something.
I think Owlcat learned from their mistakes, and Kingmaker seems like it. They at least tried to address a lot of it. Like, the actual effectiveness of those will, be seen in a few hours, I suppose, for most people. Is turn-based mode balanced or long and tedious? I mean, turn-based is always just going to be slower. That's the main downside to turn-based. Personally, I enjoy turn-based more, but it is just factually going to be slower than real-time with pause. Like, there's adjustments that can be made, but it's always going to be slower, just period. Anything major missable, like the mythic level quests? I can't remember, someone said, but I never had the issue as the Azada. The mythic quests can be missable. They'll usually like hand feed them to you, but you can fail them. So things like that, and in that sense, they're missable. For the most part, they're just like, here's this quest, and they just kind of like, throw it in your face. So it's hard to like literally miss them by not picking the quest up so much as just not doing it and failing it. Or doing it in a way that fails it because it's just ridiculous. Slayer class plus Aeon works? Yeah, so the mythic path, each mythic path can be done with any class. There are things that obviously synergize better than other stuff, but there's no restriction like class-wise, like it all works. I have no idea if the toy box mod works with release. Have I tried an evil playthrough? Yeah, I did Demon, my first run through. It was pretty good. I liked it. Have you tried? I'm sorry, same one. I can't stay for the live. I want to thank you again for your videos. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. When you chose your late game mythic path, do you actually lose all the previous mythic path you were on, or is it like multi-classing? So, more of a complicated answer than you might think. When you pick up your late game mythic path, you'll be given a set of initial abilities for rank 8. You will, at the time that you pick it, keep everything else prior. Immediately after picking your late game mythic path, you're given a quest to complete your transformation. Once that quest is complete, then it completely redoes your mythic tree. So for like a rank, you'll have a bit of a mix, and then after that quest chain is completed, then you'll have all the brand new stuff. Is it hard to completely fail the game? I don't want to play 50 hours in and only get a game over after. I mean, there's always going to be like a way through option-wise. You might not have like an optimal outcome, so to speak, but I mean, you're not going to like fail it. Have they added something like limitless performance like they did with Limitless Rage? Offhand, I don't know. Honestly, maybe. there's so many classes and stuff. If they did, it would probably be with the Azada. The mage that can use heavy armor, the Hell Knight Signifier, does it work with Lich? Yeah, all the mythic paths work with every class. Out of 10, how would I rate the story narrative? Kingmaker was like a 5 or 6. I'd say it's about a 7. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like blowing my mind or anything.
Where did it go?
If I'm a beginner to Pathfinder, should I stick to a single class or try the dual class? I would stick to a single class, try to learn what each class does and how those class features work and how they are separated out in other classes. So sneak attack, for instance, is a feature that a lot of classes get. And understanding how sneak attack works goes a long way, and then kind of think about each class feature that way. And then once you've kind of learned, generally speaking, what most of the class features are, dual classing becomes a lot easier. At least that's how I personally approached it.
No, what is that?
Do we actually turn into the mythic class race later on? Yes. You have to do all of your mythic quests, but it is missable as well. But yes, you will actually undergo a transformation towards, I believe it's like rank 9, which is like Act 5, so there's 6 acts in total, just to kind of give you a frame of reference. Can you do all the quests for the mythic path simultaneously, or is choosing one? So once you've chosen your mythic path, that's when you actually start getting the quests. So you're only going to be able to do the quests one at a time. You can unlock multiple on one character, like choices of mythic path. Watched the review and pre-ordered, enjoyed Kingmaker. Good, glad you enjoyed it, man. So a lot of people, again, asking about the alignment restrictions on the mythic paths. I already explained this a few times, actually, but again, it's a very common question, so I get it. The mythic paths don't require you to have an alignment to choose them. However, not like sticking to that alignment will cause you to fail mythic quests and can prevent you from getting the late game transformation, but it will not stop you from playing that mythic path and getting the associated abilities. So yes and no.
They will break against our
Won't
resolve.
survive me.
Open your heart to me.
Matricium Turinos.
Igor says thanks for answering questions and he appreciates it, so thank you as well. I appreciate you stopping by. How is the soundtrack compared to Kingmaker? Very orchestral, very grandiose. I'm not a music guy by any means, but that's about as best I could do for a description.
This wound, my gift to you!
Yeah, thought I missed a cave for some reason.
I'm off.
So what are the correct alignments for the mythic paths? I don't know every single one of them. Aeon's lawful, Azada's chaotic good, Demon's chaotic evil, Lich I think is just evil. Gold Dragon I think is lawful good, or just straight up good, really. That's all the ones I can think of off the top of my head. How much of the game is voice acted? About half of it. How is the Crusade system or the different troops you can recruit? Overall, I think the Crusade system's alright. There are different troops you can recruit. It changes a little bit based on your mythic path as well, so all the troops you see in one playthrough aren't even necessarily all that there are. Does Legend get to keep mythic abilities and feats, or do they lose them? They'll eventually lose them. Well, no, sorry. Legend will keep the feats and the abilities. They'll lose the features and stuff from the other mythic paths, but they will keep the feats and the abilities. My bad.
I do what I must.
Do characters react to your class, race, not just your mythic path? They react to your mythic path, your race, as well as the deity you choose for your character. How far into the story Delamere Companion is? Act 3, I believe. Oh, Kaluna joined as a member. Thank you so much. Better than the kingdom management? Yeah, I like the Crusade system much, much more than the kingdom management. Are there mission timers? There are soft timers in Act 1, nothing that will block the game, but the outcome of Act 1 will change a little bit depending on how long you take, and that is really the only substantial timer in the game. Do they still have the alignment dialogue restriction? No, that's moved to a mythic path. Like, the dialogue restrictions are more about mythic path than alignment this time around. Luna, who just joined as a member, said I've been watching your videos for quite a bit and you inspired me to get the beta, so I figured I may as well give something back. Well, I appreciate it, honestly. Honestly, I'm just happy to have anybody watch it all. But again, thank you. Super Drama says, do I still need to watch a 45-minute YouTube video to not make a terrible character? Well, it kind of depends on your knowledge of Pathfinder, really. There's definitely wrong choices, if that's what you're asking. Does anyone know if you get the Wings feat for free if you do Angel Mythic Path? No, I don't think so. Off the top of my head, I want to say no, but I'm honestly not 100% sure. Do I know how the respec system works compared to Kingmaker? It's tied to the difficulty. Normal and below, you can respec just by going and talking to a guy, really. Anything above normal and respecs are turned off. Are you playing with experience sharing on or off? It's on right now, and yeah, you can absolutely turn it with it on. So there's more than enough experience to get you to max level, and then you can just like grind random encounters because again, there's no timer, so there's really nothing stopping you from just grinding to max level. How many mythic choices are there? 10, I think. Can you respec companions back to level 1, or is it the level they join at? I haven't checked, honestly. I would assume it's probably level 1. Lewis Jones says, have I done an unfair run yet? Loves the vids. I have not done unfair yet. I have just honestly been focusing on content most of the time. I played a little bit on core, like probably through like the first couple acts, and then primarily beyond that I've been playing on normal for content primarily. Something to keep in mind too, because the achievements are actually semi-visible on Steam now. a lot of the difficulty achievements, there is one for unfair to be clear, but a lot of the difficulty achievements actually revolve around you doing a ton of extra stuff while on core difficulty, which I thought was interesting. I have not made a money-making guide. I honestly, in my experience playing through the full game, I never had a problem with having enough cash, so I don't think it's much of an issue. How is mounted combat? Is it viable? If you're running a character that is like, you know, dedicated to it, it's very good. The only thing I would say is that you do fight in a lot of cramped quarters, which can make mounted combat a bit of a pain, especially builds that revolve around charge attacks, because you have to have a minimum of 10 feet to make a charge. So kind of just depending on the environment really affects mounted combat, in my personal experience, a great deal. But overall, it's definitely viable. It's very cool, but you might have some trouble just with cramped spaces.
Rely on me.
We should move.
Is there a summoner class? There are archetypes that revolve around summoning, but there's not like a dedicated class for it. It's all, like, there are archetypes that definitely revolve around summoning, but there's not like a base class. Is there a class similar to a D&D 5e Warlock? Not all that experience with Pathfinder mechanics. I mean, there's a few.
We do it my way.
Nothing that I would say matches it like exactly, but there's a few. How do I like the loot system? Is it mostly randomized set drops? A little bit of both. Some stuff is always in the same place, other stuff is randomized. Class I had the most fun with? In this particular game, probably the Magus Sword Saint. I messed around with Kineticist and Sacred Huntsmaster a lot, but I've been playing a ton of Sword Saint lately, so really enjoying that. Is it possible to play Mythic Paths of Lich or Demon while not being evil? Not effectively. Like, you can do it, but I probably won't be the best experience for you, to be honest. Is there a class like Monster Technician Inquisitor, but for undead instead of monster? Well, sort of. So you can give your animal companions classes, actually, as you can see on screen here. I chose Aggressor for this one, but there's one called Death Touched that actually makes your pet undead, like being healed from negative energy, though technically it's still alive. So, kind of. I mean, you pair a death-touched animal companion with a Dampier who also uses negative plane, and you're effectively playing an undead version. Favorite weapon as a sword saint? Personally, I like Dueling Sword just because it's a classic. However, most people will tell you S-Stock for the crit range. Can you essentially be a Death Knight that turns into a Lich? Yeah, absolutely. There's a 300 plus comment forum post about Hagbound being basically a bit broken. Is this true? Thoughts? I haven't messed with it, so honestly I'm not sure. Mostly enjoying Hexblades and enjoying, yeah. Paul D, what are the pros and cons to merging mythic spellbooks? Basically, whether or not you want those spells to scale off of your casting stat for your base class, or whether or not you want it to scale off your mythic rank, that would be the primary difference between merging them or not doing it.
Am I not?
Did they make significant changes to the already existing classes, or the same as Kingmaker? They added archetypes, but the archetypes and the classes that were in there are still basically the same, but the new archetypes and stuff, of course, function differently.
I hope you appreciate this.
Unique. Good.
Still no sniper slayer archetype. Not that I'm aware of. I think they're all pretty much melee. Is there anything you would like to see added to the game at a later time? So, yes, actually. Right now, and this is like, this honestly isn't even that big of a deal, but right now, if you're on a class that can learn spells from scrolls, you have to click each spell individually and be like, copy to spellbook. I would really love a button that would just copy every available scroll to a character that can learn it. Like, just press one button and every scroll that that character can learn gets copied and just be done with it. I think that would be nice. Adele and Paul say hello, hello. Most make the paths have something to boost your magic, true. Is the environment always dark? No, it's actually gets pretty varied. The beginning's very much so like Burning City, but it gets pretty varied from there.
I am helpful, am I not?
Did the day one patch fix Crusade bugs or other bugs? I haven't tested everything. I downloaded it. I'm actually playing with the day one patch in right now. That said, I can tell you it fixed a couple things that I had issues with late game that were preventing me from checking out mechanics and stuff. I was actually looking at that this morning. But that said, I'm honestly not sure about everything it fixed. Steve and Kenny, what are my favorite changes versus Kingmaker? Honestly, my hands down favorite change is this 360 camera. I love a good 360 camera. I hate static views. Now, honestly, game design people will be like, oh, well, it doesn't make much of a difference because you're deciding what you actually see and what you don't. But like, I just like to be able to turn my camera. That's really all there is to it. How does this compare to Divinity Original Sin? So Original Sin and Original Sin 2 are really more of a, I don't want to say, they have a different structure, I guess would be the best way to put it. They have like, you know, Divinity Original Sin 2 has like the act format that it uses, which is similar to this, but is obviously a little more open. And then Original Sin 1 actually has a fairly open world map actually that you can explore. So structurally they're a little different. Mechanics wise and narrative wise, they try to do a lot of the same things in that regard. Would I recommend playing through Kingmaker before jumping into this? Nah, I don't really need to. I found a good Vampire Hunter portrait picture, that's pretty cool. Have I tried to romance the queen? Is her romance work in similar ways? Kind of. She can be with you for part of the campaign, and then you see her here and there, but for a lot of it, she's actually not present at all, so there is kind of that factor to it. I've seen the beginnings of her romance. I haven't done all of it because it requires you to be a goody two-shoes, which I haven't been doing. Most of my playthroughs have been fairly evil so far, but I've seen the beginnings of it. Do your companions also lose their mythic feats if you go legend? No, you actually keep your feats and abilities if you go mythic legend. So you'll gain like 2 class features, if you want to call them that, for legend, as well as keeping the mythic feats and abilities. Bounty Dark says, did I miss the devil question? The devil mythic path exists, if that's what you're asking. I put a video up about it this morning.
A heartbeat quickens. Learn my name. When do I?
How many hours do I think 100% will take? I don't have the full achievement list yet, but ballparking it, probably 200 plus.
I hope you appreciate this.
You get some bonus if you choose to play as a mortal instead of mythic. So if you don't choose to take any mythic path, you're kind of forced to be at least legend, which gives you a level 40 level cap, but no other mythic feats. Or, not mythic feats, but like mythic features. Is the tutorial better? Yes. They do a lot better job of explaining things. I'm actually kind of skipping through it here, obviously, because the primary thing I'm doing is answering questions, to be honest. But yes, very much so. There is just better tutorials in general. What's a good race for Inquisitor builds? Personally, I like ASMR. Just because ASMR get a pretty varied heritage background, it gives them a lot of bonuses. But anything that can give you a bonus to wisdom isn't too bad for an Inquisitor. Did they add any mount option with the full version for Cavalier or Paladin? So all the mounts are just the animal companions that are in the game, so they didn't add like any extra mounts, if that's what you're asking. Can you even reach level 40? Are there enough experiences for it? Yes, becoming a mythic legend actually redoes the, like it resets your experience levels, if that makes sense. So it's, they call it recasting. I don't know if that's a familiar term for everybody, but what I call it is recasting. It recasts your levels. So when you take Mythic Legend, it actually changes how much experience you need for each level, pretty drastically actually in some cases. So even if you're like level 17 or something when you like pick up Legend, you're actually going to then be a much higher level because of the recast and experience points. I know you can get a succubus companion, but can you also play as one yourself? No, you can't play as one. I'm having a lot of trouble deciding on a class, don't know how much. You said you didn't love oracles. Why is that? They're complicated. Like point blank, there's just a lot going on with oracles, and I don't know that it just doesn't suit me personally. I'm not saying oracles are bad. It's just that they feel needlessly complicated, and I just don't enjoy playing them. Are animal companions still OP like Kingmaker? They absolutely can be if you build them appropriately. Can I show the hoodie that they gave me? Yeah, I'm actually wearing it right now. Somebody figured it out. Somebody actually mentioned when I posted that I should wear it. And I was like, yeah, sure, but this is the hoodie Owlcat Games sent me, which is the Angel Mythic Path on the front. Thought that was pretty cool. How big are the last 2 chapters compared to the previous 4? Kind of depends. They can be pretty lengthy depending on how long you spend on the crusade stuff. So in order to get to the last bit of the game, you have to clear out a bunch of demon forts, which can take a varying amount of time depending on what you've got going for your crusade. So give or take
This will be quick.
Guide my blade. Into the we are the light. They are the darkness.
Our caster's going to struggle with high saves in late game. Depends on how you build them. So you're going to get a bunch of mythic feats and abilities that can absolutely affect just like how powerful a caster is going to be in general. So it really just depends on how you've built your character. They may or may not. Time left before release, I believe it's about 3 hours. Is there a big time lapse between the story of Kingmaker and Wrath? Offhand, I'm not sure. They're pretty disconnected. As someone new to Pathfinder, what's the hype with Sword Saints? They're awesome. Sword Saints can use oh god, it's the spell casting stuff that Magus gets, which lets them use a spell, like a touch spell, with their weapon, which gives them an extra attack per round. And then in addition to that, they're also Maguses, which are very strong in general. Plus, all the Sword Saint stuff gives them a bunch of great physical aptitude. So they get to be basically just the king of the castle as far as Gish classes go. And that's why they're popular, at least in my opinion.
I am helpful, am I not?
Are the transformations after you fully embrace your mythic path dependent on race gender? They seem fairly standardized. Like, you know, obviously some of them adjust to your character's model, like male or female, but that's about it. For the most part, you know, it's all generally the same. Yes, you can use the Azada's Dragon Companion as a mount, provided you meet the requirements. And I believe that, I don't know if you can do it right away regardless, but it is available for a mount, yeah. How important are the choices you make at councils when ranking up Crusade stats? A little. It might make your life with managing the Crusade a little easier, but it's not like the end of the world or anything. Most of the time it's just like, do I get this type of troop or that type of troop? So there's no real wrong answer. Do you always have a full party, or when do you not plan to use said companion, but it comes early, you still keep it? I mean, generally speaking, you're going to have a full party most of the time, unless you're just trying to do it solo.
No reason to pause.
It's time to act. You should have run! Ah, a test of my abilities.
How hard is the game compared to other CRPGs? Just depends on the difficulty setting you have on it, to be honest. Does Ivu stay if you switch to Golden Dragon? I'm not sure. I haven't tested whether or not the Azada stuff like leaves after you switch paths. Do classes, skills, feats help or give interesting effects for Crusaders, like nice unit upgrades? Mythic paths will affect some of the troops you can get, but for the most part, that's all handled separately in the Crusade system. The generals will get stuff they can use that will affect the people they're overseeing, but that's about it.
Beg me to stop.
Any advice for someone new to the Pathfinder system? Play on like easy mode and then just make the character you want to make and just keep making characters and try to have as much fun as you can with it. Personally, I am not one of those people who's like, you gotta watch like 4 hours worth of guides, otherwise you're wasting your time. Like, make some mistakes. That's how you're gonna learn. Just like play on easy mode. It's not that big of a deal.
This is how it feels.
Wow, she got absolutely wrecked.
So this is how it feels. So this is how it feels.
Man, Camilla just could not take a hit from this water elemental. Oh man. Water elemental's tearing us to shreds. Not much we can do about it though, to be honest. Ugh. We can try to get Sela up, that would help. Nope. She took way too much damage from his freeze. Yeah, freeze is just destroying me, Jesus. Yeah, definitely gonna die right here. Yeah, that water element was a pain. I didn't think I was gonna have that much of a problem, to be honest, with two ranged people, but Camilla went down like immediately. Is there interesting builds around mounting the dragon? Yeah, I mean, there's whole builds capable around the like Cavalier and stuff that do just entirely mounted combat, so it's as involved as you want it to be.
I am helpful, am I not?
Yeah, that water elemental right there, it's like the first, like, difficult, if you want to call it, that fight that you're gonna run up to. It's a little mini boss, as a couple people mentioned. It just really depends on the dice rolls for that guy. He has a big smash water attack that does like 2d6 damage per round, which at this level is basically a death sentence.
This one was beyond me. I hope you appreciate this.
Yeah, there's a lot going on this year with CRPGs. There's actually a lot going on this month. On the 7th, Encased launches. Game Deck comes out on the 16th, which is going to be pretty cool, I think. So, a lot going on for CRPGs. Can you influence your companions, like change their alignment? A few of them. Some of them no, some of them yes.
Don't hold back!
Do not waver!
Not this time. What do we have here?
What's that there? They will break against our resolve.
Nice, that was a good crit. Yeah, as far as I know, the game launches in about 2.5 hours, give or take. Can I tell you something about the Gold Dragon Mythic Path? I put a video up this morning about how to unlock it. There will be a video up around noon CST for the mechanics of the Gold Dragon Path. Who was my favorite romance in BG3? What I've seen so far is definitely Shadowheart. I didn't like Lae'zel very much. Yvette Sitlington became a member, so thank you so much. I'm terribly sorry if I butchered your last name. Can you tell us anything about the Locust Mythic? Again, video up about how to unlock it this morning. It'll be a little while before I get the like mechanics video up for it, but the video on how to unlock the Swarm Mythic Path is very much so ready to go. Will I be playing Diablo 2 Resurrected when it releases? Probably not. So I actually played Diablo 2 non-stop in middle school. I actually love ARPGs. I don't really cover them a lot on this channel very much, but I play a lot of ARPGs just like in my spare time. And I played so much D2 that, to be honest with you, I don't need to play it again. I know exactly what that game was for me, and while it's nice to see them update it for people who haven't played it, there's nothing you're going to tell me about D2 I don't already know.
Am I not?
Have I tried turn-based mode? Here and there. I played to like Act 1 with it on. Mostly I've been playing real time with pause. What's the difference between Devil and Demon and Pathfinder? Is it the same as D&D? Yeah, actually. So demons are chaotic evil, devils are lawful evil. That's the primary difference. And naturally, they hate each other. I feel like I missed a container for some reason.
Now what is that?
I'm playing a Wizard, Dampier, and Lich, but which subclass should I go with? Personally, Wizard, I like Scroll Savant. That's a cool one. How fun, interesting would be an Elegant ASMR who takes Demon Path, or Savage Tiefling who takes a Celestial Path. I mean, that's a pretty common thing, actually. Is there a skill or two that you would say is more important for decisions rewards than and having high target numbers? I'm honestly not sure what your question is there, to be honest. If you want to rephrase it, maybe I'll understand. Lefty says, hi, what's going on, man? I think some mythics are locked to your alignment. Not exactly, no. I've explained that multiple times, though. 2.5 hours left, that's my understanding of it, yeah. I hope they fixed the bugs in Cavalier class. Yeah, they fixed most of them. The Cavalier class, when the beta first launched, had a bunch of messed up animations, but mechanically it's always worked fine, so the visuals were fixed a while back, so it should be fine. Favorite race at the moment? Right now I'd say ASMR, just because they are very versatile with their backgrounds, with like bonuses and stuff, and they're just kind of cool in general. I feel like they fit the setting a lot. Paul says that it can take him a week to make his character. Yeah, it definitely can. There are just so many options. It's ridiculous. I was getting stuck in the start of each zone when mounted. I never personally had that problem, and I was actually playing mounted a little while, like before I actually started the stream, and I didn't have any of those issues, so I'm not really sure.
I am helpful. Am I not?
You said in your review that you don't like that the enemies are so big. I don't like that too. Do you think that's gonna be modded? So it's not that I have a problem with their size, it's that they are so big in comparison to you that you can't see what you're doing. Them actually being big means nothing to me. That said, there will be mods that fix that, because I believe just in the beta there was a mod that changed how far you could scroll the camera out, which is pretty much a, you know, fix right there in some forms, depending on what you want from that situation. What skill do I think is most important? Oh, okay, like class skill. I would say perception, because that's how you're gonna notice like false walls and everything.
Do not fear. Do not waver.
Would ASMRs be closest to the angel mythic path? Yeah, I mean, so ASMRs are people with a celestial heritage in some form or other, so if you wanted to go angel, like, yeah, that would be like the most fitting if you want to think about it that way. Is it possible to play this game with a smaller group to level up faster? They will level up faster, well, depending on your experience options, but yeah, typically speaking, they will. Really excited for the modding potential. Yeah, it should be pretty interesting.
Together, we stand.
The heartbeat quickens.
What is the best mythic path for Lich, or what is the best mythic path for Wizard, which I would say is Lich? Which act was my favorite to play through? Act 4. Act 4 is really cool.
I do what I must.
Act 1 is a close second. It's a pretty strong start to the game, but Act 4 is pretty out there. Best mythic path for Slayer and Sword Saint. Depends on what you want to focus on, honestly. Personally, I like Aeon. However, I could see the benefits of doing either Demon or Angel as well, because Angel gets like a bunch of weapon buffs, and then Demon actually gets natural claw attacks, which you can use in your offhand, while your Sword Saint still uses their one hand, so you can do stuff like that, for instance. The gameplay and UI improvements, you said you like more than the first game. What about the story? Is a little darker than the first one? Well, the first one was pretty dark, honestly. Like, it really wasn't that light of a story. That said, I would definitely say it is more mature, I guess would probably be the words to use. Act 4, again, is actually pretty out there in that specific regard. Is there a way available to recruit a Ruchele early? Kind of. You can recruit her a little early if you jump through some hoops at the Lost Chapel. But like, not so early that it would make a substantial difference. Are some in-game weapons represented less in-game? And can we find cool weapons? Yeah, so Finian the Talking Weapon is kind of the answer there, especially if you're just planning on using it on one character. Finian the Talking Weapon will become whatever weapon you want him to become. He's like a little mini companion. He's like a spirit weapon that will just turn into other weapons. So he will be whatever you need him to be, and thus kind of solves that problem. How is turn-based compared to Divinity series? Quite a bit different. So, turn-based, like the turns in Pathfinder work a bit differently than turns in Divinity, which focuses on action points, whereas in this, you would take a move action and an attack action, or a full attack, or a standard action, or a full round action. So there's a lot more variety in what types of actions you're taking here, whereas in Divinity, everything is basically just their action point system. Has my opinion on favorite classes changed since I made that favorite classes video? Not particularly. Those are still pretty much my favorites. How is turn-based? Oh, I just answered that one, sorry. Best companion tank other than the paladin? Camilla, actually, if you build her properly. I prefer the bastard sword in terms of weapon. Fair enough. When would you suggest starting downloading mods, not content stuff like extra classes? Like if... Personally, I'd play through the game once, just like as it is, and then if you want to add stuff after that, I'd say that's probably a good way to go. Does Hell Knight count towards caster level? Hell Knight Signifier, I believe, can. I don't think base Hell Knight does at all. I see you don't hoard loot and then sell it later on. No, not typically. Most of it's not worth much. From what I did see for the Hell Knight, you need the Armiger class before being able to get that class. You don't technically have to use Armiger to go into Hell Knight. Armiger is just the archetype designed to go into Hell Knight, so it will make it easier, but it is not technically required to do so.
Death is life's final surprise.
I am never wrong. Always ready.
Well,
I think what we're gonna do for this water elemental is see if I can't get a hold person on it, because that affects creatures too, so it should. We'll see if that works. I don't know. I'll also cast Bless before we go in there. Do you have recommended mythics for Inquisitors or Sorcerers? Aeon's pretty good for Inquisitors. I like that one a lot. Sorcerers, honestly, I'd probably go Lich myself. Somebody asked about the most broken Mythic Path. I don't have enough information about the late game Mythic Paths to really answer your question like completely, but there are some that seem pretty overpowered. Which Mythic Path appears to be the most... Yeah, I just answered that one. Jeez. Do NPCs react to your classes other than Hell Knight? Not so much classes, but your race, your Mythic Path, what deity you worship, they will react to things like that. Where can I find the staff for the Lich quest? It's a wand, and it's in a place called Leper's Smile. How about Rangers? Any mythic suggestions? Off the top of my head, I would probably go Azada, just because I feel like that would be fun, but, I mean, that'll all work. Is the higher spell level casting from combining spellbooks with a Lich Wizard that much more powerful, or can you keep going with two spellbooks and still be valid? You can still use two spellbooks and be fine. It really just depends on what you want those spells to scale off of. However, the extra caster level is helpful.
We should move.
I don't remember if I saved or not. Okay.
This spell works differently.
No, it's not gonna let me target. I didn't know if that would work or not. Alright, well, we're gonna give it a shot, see what happens.
Do not fear. Do not waver. This will leave a bruise.
Yeah, that freezing smash is just ridiculous for damage. Only got him to about half.
Not like this.
Oh well. Yeah, I don't usually have that much trouble against this thing, to be honest.
We should move.
Though, to be fair, I'm usually playing a different class.
The light.
This will be quick.
And honestly, just some better dice rolls would go a long way right here. Yeah, see? Like, it's almost dead now. It's not even hit me yet. Yeah, see? Terrible dice rolls. So that water elemental has this thing called Freezing Smash, which does 2d6 damage to the things it hits. And at this level, where you have like 20 health, 2d6 can be like 3/4 of your health almost immediately. And that's our tank, mind you. The rest of us have less than that. Swarm definitely feels a little over the top dark. All of your companions leave you if you do Swarm that walks. Our companions fixed, as in not starting with all of the attacks. So your animal companions are only supposed to have one attack in the beginning until they get the base attack bonus to get the rest of their attacks with a full round action. So this is a wolf, so it only ever gets one attack and a trip as well. But something to understand about pets and just attacks in general. You only get all of your attacks if you're making a full round action. So even if I were to get 2 or 3, if I move and then hit something, I'm only going to get one attack that round because I'm not using a full round attack action, which would then give me all of my attacks that are available to me. Can you name your pets? Yes, you can. How many companions are there in the game? I think the total number is like 12. Hold on, I actually had that written down for a video I was doing. Yeah, 12 regular companions, and then the Lich gets an optional 3 more. Azada gets the dragon, so depending on what you want to qualify as companions, there's a few different options. Is the water ring still? Yeah, it's over here behind the barrel. There's the water ring.
I'm gone.
Which romance option did I like the most, enjoy? I played around with a few of them. Honestly, most of them are pretty dark. I haven't tried to romance the queen. A few of the people that I have romanced, just like throughout the beta, I just, the quests involved get like surprisingly dark is the best way I could put it. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing given the setting of the game, but surprisingly so, I guess is really what I want to say about it. In Kingmaker, the animal companion did start with different attacks, the wolf with 1, and for example, the Smarline with 5. Do I understand you correct now that it's gone? It does not work that way now, and it was not supposed to. That is not how full round attacks work for pets. I'm aware that's how it worked in Kingmaker, but again, it's not supposed to work that way. And I've tested it out here and there, and I haven't seen it working that way in Wrath of the Righteous. Can you respec? Yes, you can, depending on the difficulty you have the setting of the game on. That said, you can change the difficulty whenever, so basically yes all the time if you don't care about achievements. Do dinosaurs ruin the feeling? Not really, compared to all the other fantastical stuff going on. There's only 2 different types of dinosaurs anyway. Is the Cavalier able to charge their mount? Yes, they are. You just have to be 10 feet away and, of course, mounted. How common are scroll, potion drops, and magic items drops in the game random? Random encounters are a thing in the game. Scroll and potion drops everywhere. How long will it take to 100%? I have no idea because I haven't done it yet, obviously, but I'm ballparking it around 200 plus hours.
Do it my way.
What's that?
I am helpful, am I not?
What happens with Mythic Spellbook separate and merged after you change your Mythic Path? If you change your Mythic Path and thus lose the Spellbook that you would have merged it with, you then lose the spells and stuff that you would have gotten from it. So, basically, you'll lose it. I don't have anybody that can identify that. That is surprising. Alright.
Open your heart to me.
Can you unlock chests multiple times if you fail? Yeah, there's only a few things where, like, you can't just redo the checks on the lockpicks. Where does this rank on my list of favorites? It's up there. I still want to see some of the Mythic Paths that I haven't checked out yet and kind of see how all of that stuff interacts before I make too much of a decision. But this is definitely a contender. It's very good. What Mythic Path would I recommend for an Eldritch Scion? Lich is always a great option for anyone that wants to do any amount of spell casting, but truthfully, there's no wrong answer there. Can you change the mount from horse? No, you can't really change your animal companion after it's already done. How early in the game does the gold dragon unlock? Much later than normal. The earliest you're going to see it, and the earliest you can choose it, is Act 5. Without spoiling stuff, that's about as much as I can tell you. But it's fairly late in the game, considering there's only 6 acts. But right at the beginning of Act 5.
I'll take care of it.
How are the undead raised by the Lich feel? Are they... so they basically replace some of the companions you're going to lose from being a Lich. They have personalities and stuff. They're pretty good.
Don't hold back.
But I mean, you know, they're undead in service to a Lich, so... They're not exactly happy campers, but for the most part, they're pretty good companions.
Into the fray!
Oh, there he is. I was like, where'd that guy go? That was weird. How is the optimization? I mean, I have a 9900K and a 2080 Ti. It runs pretty smooth. There's some problems that are more to do with Unity, the game engine, than this particular game. But for the most part, I've had like 0 problems. Somebody said, thanks for all your work. Thank you, I appreciate that. Which companions do you lose going Lich? Sela for sure. I've heard you lose 2 more. I think Ember's one of them, and I want to say Soseal.
Not this time. I hope you appreciate this.
Yeah, seems that way. So, Here's a little bug for you guys. My two characters are below the floor. Bag of holding a thing. Yeah, you can find them here and there. Will enemies try to bypass your tanks to go for your backline squishies all the time, or are different enemies, depending on their intelligence, attacking differently with different attack patterns? Kind of like Kingmaker, it depends on the enemy. Some will try to go after your backline units if they can get to them. Do I like what Larian Studio is doing with Baldur's Gate 3? Overall, yeah. I've made quite a few videos about that, just in general, but overall, yeah. Hold on, I'm gonna have to save and reload because my guy's stuck under the floor. Which may or may not fix it. What do I think of potential speedruns for Wrath of the Righteous? Depends on what you're trying to do. Like what you consider a speedrun. I mean, like hitting every plot point or completing every quest, so... And, you know, also what difficulty and everything. But in general, I think it would be an interesting thing for people to try. There's nothing really stopping you from doing it.
Something here.
I hope you appreciate this.
How's the storyline lore side? I enjoyed it a lot. Without actually spoiling it here.
One for me.
It's pretty good. It took some turns I personally didn't expect, having not played the tabletop version of this particular adventure path. But overall, there's kind of a mystery in the background for you to solve, as well as the more immediate problems. It takes you to some fantastical places, doing stuff I wasn't really expecting to do. So overall, I'd say it's pretty good. Trevor says it's his first time here, but he appreciates all the content, and I appreciate you mentioning it. Do I prefer real-time or turn-based? Overall, turn-based, even though I play in real-time a lot, for like streams and stuff. Do you miss out on content like court decisions and judgment if you turn on the Crusade? You'll miss out on everything to do with strategy for the Crusade. So all the little meetings where you decide what kind of troops you're going to get, all that stuff will get handled automatically. But the other stuff that like happens in the same place that doesn't have to do with the Crusade, you'll still take part in.
I see something over there.
What's a good race archetype class for the Azada? I mean, there's not really a wrong choice there, to be honest. The Azada gets a lot of really cool abilities that make it useful for pretty much anything. Their superpowers are kind of caster or melee focused, so really just anything you want to do with an Azada should be a good way to go. Maybe don't play a class that requires you to play lawful, as Azada tend to go chaotic good, so you might have some problems there, but otherwise.
I'll cut you wide open. Bathe in your blood.
Can you lose the Crusades? Absolutely. It would be very difficult to do so, mind you, but it's possible. Due to the alignment requirements, you can't have both demon and angel. So your main character is the only person who's actually going to like become another being. The rest of them are just mythic companions who get mythic feats and abilities, but they don't like get an actual path the way your character does or anything. How far do I need to level to make a Lich? You need to get to Act 3 to pick a mythic path. Well, the beginning of Act 3, the end of Act 2. To pick a mythic path, so that's usually around like level 9, 10. Are there collectibles, secret items scattered around the world? Yes, there are. Does playing turn-based feel better? Act 1 was pretty solid. I haven't played turn-based too much in the late game, but turn-based through the first couple acts was pretty well balanced. I didn't have any problems with it myself. Who do I think is and are the most interesting companions? Camilla has an absolutely crazy story. So hers is just kind of, I don't know, like it's not going to be for everybody, I'll tell you that much. But it is out there for sure. Sociel has a really good story. Like surprisingly so. And then the rest of them are all pretty good. I would say the ones that stood out to me the most are Sociel's and Camilla's though, for sure. Good or evil, which leads to a better, more engaging story. Well, it depends on personal preference, really. Do you want to be the good guy or the bad guy? Both of them are pretty good, to be honest, so that's more of a subjective thing. For me personally, I enjoyed the demon stuff, but I like to play lawful evil characters. Somebody says they know Camilla's messed up based on her idle party banter and everything. Yeah, man, that stuff doesn't even scrape the iceberg. Like, just there's so much stuff with Camilla. It's hard to sum up.
Open your heart to me.
What about neutral past storylines? You can. I'd say the Aeon's more neutral. Like, technically they're lawful, but like if you want to like a in between good and evil kind of thing, the Aeon's a pretty solid way to go. They're not really interested in good and evil, just that everything follows the laws of creation. Can I make a full party or just one character? There's nothing forcing you to take more than one character. It just wouldn't be a good time.
My sword is an extension of my arm.
Is there a wrong Mythic Path choice? No, not particularly. All the Mythic Paths are designed to work with basically any class. So there are things that like synergize better. Like just in general, but there's no wrong choice, no. Revan says, hey, he's been following for a while. Happy to find a channel that's focusing on CRPGs. Thank you, I appreciate that. Glad you're enjoying it. Before I check out, I just want to say thank you so much for the content you make. I greatly appreciate it and enjoy your videos. Thank you, honestly, I appreciate it. I really enjoy comments like that. It always makes me happy to see people are getting something out of it, so thank you. Reverend says, happy to see I'm doing well and the sub numbers are going up. Thank you. Yeah, actually, that's, speaking of sub numbers, literally just yesterday, the channel got like 500 subscribers from that review, which is not a small amount.
This will be quick.
Can I solo party in the game? You can be solo. I haven't like tested out all the variations or anything, so I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it would be very difficult to play the game solo.
Now what is that? I hope you appreciate this.
Tom asks, can you have the Azada pet as well as other pets at the same time? Yeah, so the Azada pet is actually in addition to any animal companions you have as well. So you can have an animal companion from a class and then also get Ivu, the dragon from the Azada mythic path, on top of your animal companion. That absolutely does work, yeah.
What's on your mind?
How long till we can log in? I believe it's 2 hours from now.
Test of my abilities.
As someone who hasn't played D&D or any CRPGs, would this be a good title to start with? There are easier options, to be honest with you. This game does a decent job of trying to explain things. However, I would tell you Pathfinder and these particular systems are fairly deep and can definitely be confusing. So while it's definitely not impossible, I would say there are easier games to start with in terms of CRPG experience.
I am helpful, am I not?
Matt Pearl says, do I think that classes will be any better balanced than they were in Kingmaker, or will they be obviously weaker classes again? They will absolutely be weaker classes because all of their classes are based on the Pathfinder tabletop game, which has weaker and stronger classes. And the reality is they haven't really changed many of them outside of adding archetypes and stuff, so there's definitely going to be winners and losers. Have you found any ability that ignores enemy status immunities like fear or charms other than the mythic abilities? Off the top of my head, I can't think of any. Can the Lich raise as companion any of the original companions? They get 3 specific companions they can raise. And none of them are like your original companions, but raised up. Charity King says, gotta leave for school, but can't wait until he gets home to boot this up. So, yeah, good. Hopefully it'll be what you want it to be, man. Will summoning be as strong in Wrath of the Righteous as in every other CRPG? It certainly can be. It kind of depends on the build you're running, but it's very possible for summoning to be. Alright, see if I can remember this off the top of my head. It is yellow, blue, red, yellow. Yeah. Oh. Lenare says, I assume the game being about fighting demons, they'll have high fire resistance. Is there any other type of damage that is more often resisted? Demons aren't actually immune to fire. They are, however, immune to lightning and poison. That said, there are mythic abilities that let you completely bypass resistance and immunities, making that whole argument kind of a moot point so long as you pick up those mythic feats. How much of the game is on a countdown timer? There are no doomsday clocks. There are a couple of soft timers in Act 1 that will affect Act 1, but there is nothing that like ends the game if you don't do it. And then everything after that is basically whether or not you completed it before the chapter is over.
What do we have here?
So there are not a lot of timers.
I hope you appreciate this.
Will Monk make a good combo with Aeon? Yeah, absolutely. What are the bonuses to linking spellbooks? If you merge your spellbooks, you get extra caster levels, but the stuff will then scale off of your stats, whereas if you use the mythic path, like spells or whatever, it goes off your mythic rank.
The spirits demand your blood.
Somebody's asking how the difficulty settings are tuned. For the most part, they seem okay. I've played on core a decent amount as well as normal. I haven't touched on fair much in this particular game. But for the most part, it seems basically what it was in Kingmaker. They've adjusted a few things like enemy size. So they had an option where like higher difficulties meant more enemies, but it was tuned to the point where higher difficulties would actually have you leveling up so much faster because there were so many more enemies. So things like that. Do they add more archetypes on release? Not that I'm aware of. What items can monks actually wear? Usually stuff that's tagged as monk. Which is usually like robes and stuff. Alright. So Mythic Pass can just be a extra layer of mechanics and roleplay on top of your class. Yeah, pretty much. It's a separate progression system that just adds more options. Is buffing the same in Wrath as it is in Kings? For the most part. Like, it's the same system, so a lot of that hasn't really changed. Super Drummer asks, can you romance the succubus? Get that language out of here. But yeah, you can. Is there any way to reset your companions so you don't have to deal with random stat spreads? No. Coming from the Devil Path video I just made, what exactly is the difference between Demon and Devil? Seems strange not to be able to transcend from one to the other. Demon and Devil are actually, in a lot of ways, polar opposites. Demons are chaotic evil, devils are lawful evil. They absolutely hate each other, and they go about things very differently. Do late game paths completely remove your primary path, or do they fuse together? Yes. They start out a little fused together, and then you do a quest that then completely removes your old one. Another question. I plan on being a sword saint, mythic trickster. Do the perception and arcana mythic ranks add up well, or is it not really worth it? Offhand, I'm not sure. I don't see why it would be a problem, though. I look forward to playing an Acolyte background Druid class when the game becomes more affordable. That's cool. Yeah, the Acolyte background is super handy for anybody who uses Wisdom. G-Man asks, what level will you probably be by the end of the game? Is 20 attainable? It is absolutely attainable, and it is actually grindable because there are no doomsday clocks. Does unlocking a mythic path unlock it for every other playthrough? No, it does not. It's per character. Acolyte background. Acolyte background lets you swap charisma for wisdom for the sake of persuasion. Do crossbows have a loading property in Pathfinder like they do in D&D 5e? Not particularly. Which is the best mythic path, or the most balanced at least? It kind of just depends on what you want to do, to be honest. There's no like one true answer, and given fights that have varying mechanics, it could be a lot of them. Personally, I've enjoyed Aeon the most, though. Demon's a lot of fun, but it's a little early to call, like, you know, which is the best. I'm sure once more people have played it, a clear winner will be determined eventually. Dion Phillips says, what, you get cantrips? Not from the Acolyte background, no, so that's just a wisdom thing. Is Sneaky Rogue useful in combat or only to get into guarded rooms and bypass combat? Yeah, once you're in combat, it's hard to get back into Sneak, so kind of. There are things that can help you out with that, but typically speaking, it's more out of combat and then starting combat than anything else. Legend class can get to level 40, that is correct. I hate Unity when it comes to game performance. Yeah, it can be a little rough. Is it true there's a hidden Divinity ending? Owlcat Games likes to put what they like to call a super secret ending in their games. I don't know what it is or how to even approach it yet. So probably. They like to do that kind of thing. Alright, last boss of the shield mage here. Or, shield mage. The sealed maze. Which is Hasilla. Which really shouldn't be that difficult. Probably go down pretty quick. Oh no, she got her fear off with her scythe. I think it's the first time I've ever seen that fear actually go through. She's using a scythe that has a fear effect, and I honestly think that might be the first time I've ever seen that fear actually go off. What do you think of the armor aesthetically? Is there some sort of transmog system? No, there's no sort of transmog system. Most of the armor looks pretty good, though. Is there a multiplayer? Offhand, I really don't know. I haven't been messing around with it because it's been in beta. Yeah, you're very welcome for all the answers and stuff.
They didn't have a choice. They were forced to do it.
Keep telling yourself that, Lan.
The mythic path abilities do not stack when if you change from an early game path to a late game path, it gets replaced. Like eventually after you do a quest.
I know that from personal experience.
How repetitive starting section becomes after a few tries. Well, I've been through this shield maze easily 20 to 30 times. You get very used to it. I've clearly been playing on autopilot and answering questions like 90% of this, so there's that, I guess. Does heavy armor affect Lich spellcasting? No more than normal. You're welcome. Oh, sorry, reading somebody's response. How's weapon variety now that the game is released? So for starters, they released Finian the Talking Weapon, so weapon variety just right there is better because Finian can be whatever weapon you want him to be or need him to be in some cases, so that kind of just eliminates it. But overall, I think the variety is better than Kingmaker even without Finian. Are arcane casters pushed towards evil as Lich Spellbook merge for caster levels is normally really good? I mean, they can do other stuff, like the Angel, I believe, actually gets a Spellbook merge as well, but Lich is just really fun and a lot of people want to do it, so it's not so much that people are being pushed as they want to. For the Living Legend, can you level any given class up to 40? The classes are still capped at 20. You have to put 20 points into each class, so you can't have like a level 41 class. You'll have to, at a minimum, have 2 different classes at level 20. Is there at least one decent weapon of any class? Yeah, that I've seen. There's a lot of stuff in game. Like they did. I'm not going to pretend it's perfect because somebody would be like, oh, see, this one particular class doesn't get anything. But for the most part, it's better than Kingmaker was, which was actually fairly limiting. Alright.
Who do you want it?
So we're going to take Gwenduog because she is the best. And Lan is the worst. So. Is the Gold Dragon out with the launch? Yes. Can you use without a companion as a mount? Yes. Does demonic rage and other types of rage stack?
Wait here,
I think it stacks offhand. I'd have to check to be honest to be sure, but I want to say it's. I want to say it does.
Failed to save anyone and fled like a coward.
So in theory, one could make a Battle Mage Legend stat with merged book uses as. Hold on, I think I got kind of mixed up there. If you merge your spellbook, do you choose which stat the merge uses as casting? No. So the merged book, if you choose to merge spellbooks, it will use whatever your casting stat is as your base class. The base, like if you take the mythic spellbook, it'll only use the mythic rank. Are there any updates to spell preparation mechanics for the standard wizard class? Got into TRPGs with D&D 5e. I'm surprised you have. It's the same from Kingmaker. Basically the exact same, just kind of put things in slots and stuff. Do you think there's enough support in Lich Path for a melee heavy build, or is it just more of a geared towards full-on caster? Oh, you can absolutely do heavy stuff, like, you know, melee builds with Lich, absolutely. In theory, you could be a level 20 wizard and 20 warriors of legend and be an absolute beast. Yeah, you absolutely could. That's kind of the whole point of legend. Because you gotta remember, with legend, all you're getting is the extra levels plus corruption resistance. There are no mythic like enhancements and stuff that you get with the other mythic paths. Legends is basically just the extra levels that allow you to multi-class. So that is as broken as you can allow it to be, to make up for the fact that you're not going to get the bonuses and stuff from a mythic path. The intensify meta magic, is that added to the base game? I don't think so. I don't remember seeing it anywhere. Do you have a favorite mythic path? So far, it's a toss-up between Aeon and Demon. I've actually enjoyed those quite a bit. I haven't messed around with the late game ones too much. Like, I know a decent amount about Gold Dragon, but the rest of them, outside of how to unlock them, I haven't messed around with a lot. Recommend turn-based or real-time to start. If you're new to Pathfinder, go turn-based. You'll have a better time.
I do what I must.
So you could have a living legend with a full base attack bonus and at level 40. Yeah, you absolutely could. Thanks for the answer. Any mods I'd recommend for Wrath of the Righteous? Not right out of the gate. Like, there's some fun ones that exist later on if you want to mess around and test builds. Like, there are simple mods that just let you level up, like, characters and stuff, which is pretty handy for, like, build testing and stuff. So if you want to, like, really dive into, like, you know, actually looking at adjusting things, you might pick up that mod, for instance. I forget the name of it offhand.
While the survivors wander the dungeons, the battle on the surface rages on. The what?
My favorite companion, like just across the board, I like Windwog. Other ones have like interesting stories and stuff. Portrait mods, you can add custom portraits. I don't know that you'd need a portrait mod. Can Legend get more than 20 base attack bonus from 2 classes? Not that I'm aware of. A lot of that stuff doesn't like stack, so I don't think it goes higher than normal. Paul says he's got to go, but thanks. Thank you, man. Appreciate you hanging out. You can respec your companions to the level you found them at if you have it on a difficulty where respecs are allowed, which is normal or lower. All right. Are mythic paths easily available, or will I miss a mythic path option if I'm not paying attention? Some of the mythic paths are absolutely missable. Some of them you have to unlock. Some of them come as defaults. Angel and Demon for the base are always there. Legend is an unmissable option. So stuff like that you can't miss. But the rest of them it's absolutely possible to miss if you don't find how to unlock them. Any exciting builds I'm looking for trying out? There are a bunch I have planned. I plan on doing like a build roughly a week, like in a week or two starting. And just kind of going over how I would prefer to play each class and then kind of giving a difficulty recommendation. So in that regard, kind of. Does demonic rage and other types of rage stack? I believe they're supposed to. Offhand, I don't remember, but I'm I'm pretty sure this rages are supposed to stack. Are true seeing and echolocation stacking? Offhand, I don't know, but if you put both of them on, the UI will actually tell you whether or not it is. For instance, just to give an example of that real quick. So on my main character here, these two things actually don't stack because they're both the same type of bonus, so it'll actually tell me on the UI there. And then if you have buffs, it'll actually show up down here that they don't stack. How would I rate each of the Mythic's past storylines? I haven't played through all of them. I've only played through like half, roughly. So honestly, I can't give you like a full list or anything. Did I encounter the playful darkness in my playthrough? Yes, I did. That guy sucks. Do you recommend sharing XP with all companions? Personally, I like to just do all companions just to make your life easier. You're gonna get plenty anyway. So, Swarm Mythic Path gets a variety of damage just like by the nature of their abilities, so it's not really an issue. Do you know of any romance-like options for Swarm? No. So, Swarm gets left by every single companion. You're soloing it up as Swarm. How important are charisma and persuasion in the game? They can be pretty useful. Persuasion's obviously great if you're talking to somebody, so somebody should definitely have persuasion. Charisma kind of depends. If you're using a wisdom character, you can use the acolyte background, and then charisma becomes not important because you're using wisdom in lieu of charisma, so it kind of just depends. But persuasion is definitely very important. Do Mythic Paths have alignment requirements? Yes and no. I've answered that one a lot. They have alignments that go with them, but you're not required to take them to pick the Mythic Path. However, if you don't kind of follow the quests, which push you towards that alignment, you cannot get your transformation and stuff at the end. So there's nothing stopping you from using a Mythic Path, but if you don't fall in line with that alignment, you're not going to have a great experience. And you might miss the transformation at the end. How is this place turn-based only? The first couple acts, which I've actually played through in turn-based, have been pretty good. I can't speak for the whole game because I played like the last half of it in real time with pause, but what I've played in turn-based has been pretty solid. Alright guys, I think I am caught up with everybody's questions. And we're about 2 hours in, and I got some stuff I gotta do before the game launches here in about an hour and a half. So, unless anybody's got anything else real quick they want to ask, I'm going to go ahead and call it. Give you guys a second. I know there's a bit of a delay on the chat, so. Thank you guys for watching. A bunch of people saying thank you, so honestly, just thank you guys for watching, for real. Kind of just a chill stream answering questions, so I really appreciate it. Any major bugs? There were a few in Crusades that were really annoying and forced me to reload a lot, but that was about it. And then there was like one or two that I couldn't get into an area to finish some side quests, so stuff like that. Chocolate or vanilla pudding? Chocolate, all the way. Are you crazy? Get that vanilla out of here. Is the game translated? They have a list of languages on their Steam page, I believe. Why do you say Laine is the worst? Because he's boring. I don't know. I don't know how else to put it. He's just like, he's the most average dude I've ever seen. There are other languages, for sure. Check their Steam page for all of them. I don't know all of them offhand, but there are other languages. There are no alignment required dialogues. No. Crusade on auto is definitely easier. You could definitely do that if you wanted to. Personally, I don't think it's bad enough that like to just never play with it on the regular stuff if you don't want to. So just kind of personal preference, but there are some bugs that you might have to deal with if you do play it on the regular mode. Alright guys, Looks like that's all the questions, so I'm gonna get out of here. I really enjoyed everybody hanging around, so again, thank you for showing up. Hopefully I answered all of your questions if you had any. Hope you guys enjoyed the game when it launches. Honestly, just I think it's a pretty good time overlooking a few of the bugs that I mentioned in the review, so thank you guys, really appreciate it. May you wander in wisdom and have an amazing day.